Hello and welcome to the Author Showcase of Oshkosh. We're an interview show focusing on authors from East Central Wisconsin and beyond. To see our shows at any time, you can go to our YouTube channel. We have full interviews, we have partial clips from the show, and our guests would love to hear some comments from you and questions. So I invite you to Author Showcase of Oshkosh on the YouTube channel. I am Tom Cannon. I'm one of the hosts of the show, along with Dixie Jarko and Bill Gillard. Today Dixie's running the board, and today I'm talking with Jeffrey McAndrew. Dixie and I interviewed Jeffrey over
9 years ago.
9 years ago, and we've kept in touch again since then. Jeffrey McAndrew is the Poet Laureate of North Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and his work bridges poetry, music, spoken word, and community ritual. His writing is rooted in the landscapes of the Midwest, the complexities of fatherhood, and the sacredness of ordinary life. Today he has many works, but I think we're going to start off with his latest book that came out in 2020, this year?
The latest one is 2025,
Yeah.
December.
A tapestry of moments. Welcome, Jeffrey. Please tell everybody about yourself and your works.
Thank you, Tom. It's an honor to be on the show.
Yeah.
It's been 9 years. It doesn't feel like that long, but thank you. Really love being here. So as far as my the latest book, that's about 165, 170 poems. What got me here? I started as a radio journalist. I worked in the radio business for close to 20 years with 6 radio stations. And so I became a pretty good writer with regard to broadcast writing. But of course, broadcast writing is very much different than poetry and novel writing. So,
do you think that there's any influence that your many years of being a journalist to now your works of fiction and now primarily poetry?
Yeah, I think so. Well, the first book of fiction that I did, A Conscientious Life, there was a strong autobiographical type thing going on there where the main character was a reporter, and a lot of similar, I changed the names to protect the innocent, of course, but really had a fun writing that. Was, with your first novel, as you probably know, there's the struggles of editing, and got through a lot of that. And I felt that my second novel was Numinous in 2019, about a minister's struggle with his faith, a much more heady topic.
Yeah.
And then the poetry evolution was more from songwriting, which I'd started really writing songs with a guitar in my late 40s, early 50s. And that kind of branched off into poetry. And it started with rhyming poetry, and now in my latest book, A Tapestry of Moments, I'm experimenting more with non-rhyming. And I think you and I had a conversation about that at one of the open mics where I think it was you and one of the other presenters were going back and forth about the advantages of rhyming versus non-rhyming. But I'm finding that non-rhyming free verse is exciting to write. And I'm following a poet by the name of David White, who I'm fascinated with. And he does such a great job at painting a picture. Doesn't have to rhyme, though. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I think so. And right, and I started out with probably rhyming poems, but then just to try to build up my resume of writing and submitting to journals and places like that, those people kind of frown on rhyming poetry. I mean, there's places that take it, places that like it, and but I think for spoken word nights and my mom and everybody else, they like a nice rhyming poem.
Right. Yeah. It differs, and there's very, very good rhyming poetry out there. I mean, it takes somebody like Tim McMahon does an amazing job at rhyming poem. One good example of that, of rhyming poetry. But I really want to branch out, and I want to experiment with the free verse. That's kind of my preoccupation now.
Oh, really? You're
It
that
is.
much?
Yeah, I really want to shift into that now.
Is that an evolution? I mean, because you started with
Yeah.
songwriting, and songwriting typically is rhyming,
Right,
and then to go
yeah.
from your book, My Heart at Ease.
Mostly rhyming poetry there.
Yes. And many of them were musical pieces
They
you
were.
wanted to be music.
Exactly. Whereas I'd say probably my first book, My Heart at Ease, maybe 80 or 90% would be rhyming, or majority, and then in the new book, it's probably 50-50 or even more free verse in this one. So it's an evolution, and I look at the great writers, and I look at people like G. Anthony and writers that are probably much better than myself, but that motivates me to become a better and better writer when I see all this talent. And I enjoy doing my podcast because every month on Poets Have Something to Say, which can be, that's on YouTube, and on my YouTube channel, which we can get to later.
Right, absolutely. We will be getting to that.
But yeah, so I think, there's a lot of ways to connect, and the reason I do poetry is to connect to people in a positive way.
And so that's kind of why you write poetry. What are you hoping to bring to people through your poetry and through your music?
I think connection, I think positivity. I think one of the nicest compliments I've received was a friend of mine was commenting on my poetry, and they were stating, a lot you're not afraid to go into heavy subjects, but you always try to end it with something hopeful. Mm-hmm. Like the last verse might be, "Yet there is hope in our hearts," or something like that,
yes.
Right? And I'm very serious about that. I think poetry can be a great motivator, and if it can just touch one person that needs that. I heard G. Anthony on your show say that very eloquently about how he feels so enriched if one person can be touched in a positive way from his writing. And I feel the same way.
I think so. And in your poems, I think there's often touching on gratitude and awe in looking at the simple things in life and just appreciating those.
Right. Or just like sitting on the back porch. I did a poem about just sitting on the back porch and what do I see? And it just an average night, and if I can use words to make that come alive, then that's what I want to do.
Okay. So we have a lot to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is about your YouTube show. Poets Have Something to Say. Yes. And I'm very impressed. You've gotten a lot of poets from all over, mostly Wisconsin, but even the further. And just describe that show a little bit.
Yeah, it started in October of 2022, hard to believe. So it's been going on for over 3 years. And first guest was you, Tom, in October.
I'd forgotten I was the first one.
You were the inaugural guest. But yeah, and I love it because a lot of it's through Facebook. I get a hold of these people. I've had several Wisconsin poet laureates on, and former Wisconsin poet laureates. I did a marvelous show a few years back with Margaret Rosja, who's just brilliant.
Yes.
And Nick Gulig, who you'd mentioned, and so just being able to connect with all those people. So what I do with my YouTube site, which is just a labor of love. I share also some of my own music on there too, and I'm very modest with that. I mean, I'll try a James Taylor or Jim Croce song, and hey, if I get a couple notes wrong, it's live and it's beautiful, and it's it's one take usually, and I have a lot of fun with it. But also the Poets Have Something to Say show airs once a month, and that's exciting. In the March show, we have Mary Weiner, who I had not met before. She's a fabulous. If you haven't had her on, I recommend her. She's a painter, so she has a website that has her painting and some of her beautiful writing, and she does wonderful work with the non-rhyming free verse. So she's another one of my newly acquired mentors. Definitely. So anyway, I ramble a bit, but I just love connecting, and I feel a very significant connection with all these writers. And the more I do the show, it's just a labor of love, and it keeps on rolling in a positive way.
Absolutely, yes. And the people, they're always looking for, poets are always looking for a chance to read their poems.
I know.
And share it. And your episode with Nick Gulig was a former poet laureate of Wisconsin.
Right.
I have listened to that a couple of times just because he has he's very philosophical, very knowledgeable about poetry, and he also kind of makes the case, for rhyming poems and for the other techniques of poetry, whether it's consonants, ansonants, and that's about using those techniques to kind of break down the walls between words and connecting them. So you can learn a lot just by watching your show.
Right, and I have ever since the early evolution of the show, I have people read one of their poems in the beginning of the show and then toward the end of the show. And I got that idea from an early guest, probably was January of 23, Jeremy Jusek, who is a poet laureate in Parma, Ohio. And don't ask me how I found out, just kind of going through YouTube, and I saw a fascinating video of him presenting his poetry. I said, oh, myself, okay, let's contact him. That's the beauty of online. And so he does that. And so I kind of copied he does a great poetry podcast as well, and he has people read a poem in the beginning and at the end too. So I've just been doing that for 3 years now.
Do you want to point out so people know that you can look at, you sing covers, they go to your website, you hear covers, and you have your podcast and recite some poetry, right? Right, yep. And so let's hear a poem either you'd like to read or one of your own poems that you'd like to read.
Sure. Well, I mentioned David White. Can I just do a quick one? This is just a very short.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, let's David's not here, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Okay, let's expand our minds a little.
This is called Mukinath, and this is a temple that is in the Himalayas that he actually visited. It's called Dawn at Mukinath. Dawn at Mukinath, I look through the window, white mountains and the steady slopes of snow, cold scent of pine and the raven call of blackbirds circling upward toward nothing. So the breath escapes the mouth, spiraling into a cold room, so the words leave our lips. The first line of a long poem with no courage to finish. This is the place the path begins, the empty room beneath the breath, where everything we've broken comes back to be repaired, where bitterness returns, opens, turns to a final sourness on the lime-washed walls and disappears. Now, I think that's brilliant stuff.
Brilliant.
You can see why I like him.
Yes, absolutely. And so one of my questions is, what advice do you have for people, one, about writing poetry, and two, publishing a book? Sounds like one of those tips you're going to say is to read poets.
Yes, definitely read who you love, and that's a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you read who you love and you're honest with yourself on what you love, you're going to get better, because you're going to unconsciously develop some of those things. And I don't read David White just to copy and be David White. I don't want to be David White. But if I can pick up a few things with free verse, and I love how he connects nature and human relationships. He blends these things together, these landscapes and human relationships. So can I share one more here?
Yes, absolutely. Let's.
Okay.
Where is this from?
This is from me. This is a poem I wrote last night.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact. and it's called The Road Back to You. And remember, you can change the rules at any time. Make the past just a backdrop for the roadmap ahead. May your journey be undaunted by doubt. May your road less traveled be blessed by pristine tomorrows. May you laugh and cry and know the true childlike spirit within you. May you make a grand impression on the world that only the immutable you can create, resolute in purpose. May you stand at the edge of each new morning with the courage of someone who has survived themselves. Storms, doubts, long nights of wandering, battle scars aplenty, but victory clearly in sight on the long road back to you. And that's the long road back to you.
Very nice. And
Thank
again, I think you heard the acknowledgement, the acceptance that there is pain and grief in your life.
Yes.
But overall,
we're going to make that long road back to me.
Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about a tapestry of moments. You describe your poems as exploring memory, love, spiritual longing, resilience, and the tender ache of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than treating grief as like a single event, you don't treat it as a single event. So then you kind of weave it throughout the book as a living thread. How does it come across? What is grief being a living thread throughout your book?
Well, of course, the time during which these poems were written, basically 2023 through 2025, middle 2025, I was taking care of my son with my wife and my other son. My son Stefan was hospitalized for 2.5 to 3 months in 2023, and he ended up passing away in 2024. And so there are, poems with the Midwestern hospital, setting, and very emotional. There's one poem about my wife, and I saw the courage and the fortitude and the immense presence she had in that room with Stefan, and the fact that she was such a loving mother. So I decided to give her that poem on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And so there's some poems about my mother, who passed away in late 2024. Loved her dearly, and I wrote a song called "Mother, Can You Hear Me," which is going to be on my next CD on Spotify.
Okay. Yes.
So all kinds of stuff going on here. But.
Yes, and so the grief is still there.
It is.
But I think that shows kind of how poetry, writing the poetry, and sharing poetry, even if you're just reading it, you're not going to get rid of the grief, you're not going to alleviate it, but you can process it and kind of look for the goodness that is in there.
Right.
The things to be thankful for.
Right. And there, one thing my sister said very early, my sister Sarah, my younger sister, she reminded me early on after Stefan passed that the grief that you feel is equal to the love you had for him. And that was a very, was a very beautiful thing to say at that time. And so writing a poem, it's a great way to process grief. And to visit those feelings is not unhealthy. I don't think it's not healthy either to just try to push your grief under the rug, and a poem is a way to bring that out in a graceful way, a healing way, or as G. Anthony would say, a state of healing.
And that's a way to honor and preserve the memory of Stefan for.
Right. Yep. He lives on in our hearts, and I have several poems about him, and some of them turned into song. We can talk a bit about my work with Frank Watkins.
That's exactly where he wanted to go. I mean, that's an interesting journey that poetry took you on, and that would be your collaborations with Frank Watkinson. Let's talk about that.
Right. Frank is He lives in England, I think about 80 miles north of London, in a town called Huntington. And I just kind of saw him on YouTube and just ran across his name and some of his songs. He's called the Virtual Granddad, they call him. And he writes beautiful songs. He does covers like I do. He has about 1.25 million followers and growing. Wow. And he said he never wanted to be famous. And interviewed him a couple times. You may have heard some of those podcasts. And
yes.
he actually turned down some big TV shows that wanted to highlight him.
I did not know that. Oh, really?
And so Britain's Got Stars. I can't remember what the title of the show was.
And he turned that down, huh?
Turned it down because he does not want to be famous. But fame is kind of finding him a little bit.
Because he has an interesting, unique voice. Is it? Just say it's sort of like Johnny Cash.
It is. It's got character to it. It's kind of this. I don't want to say gravelly, but it's got this texture. Kind of like think of the late Johnny Cash, like the last two CDs he put out.
Yeah, American Five.
That's Frank 100%, you know. And so I took a chance and I contacted him and said, "You want to be on my podcast?" This was March of 23, right? And so he said, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll do it." And it turned out to be a really cool podcast. Talked about the writing process and how he was at that time he only had like 500,000 followers and growing, and how he was just so amazed at what is happening to him. What is happening, you know? And so I thought, okay, so I finished the interview. I felt really good about it, and then a couple days later, I contacted him and I said, "Here's a song I put together last night. Could you just, could you rate it or look at it, see what it's like?" And several hours later, so less than 24 hours later, he had written my song in his voice, changed a few things, but basically the integrity of the song was there. All the words were mine. And the song is called Pretty Eyes. You can find that, my version, and you can find Frank Watkinson's version very easily on YouTube. But just look up Frank Watkinson. He's just a 1 in a million guy. He's just amazing.
Yeah. So if you look up Frank Watkinson on YouTube, you'll find him singing some of your works.
About 14.
And you'll find out why they call him
the Digital Granddad.
The Digital Granddad.
Yeah, and he and I would love to visit him sometime. My brother says, you and Frank, you should visit him. He's like your big brother, you know. So maybe someday I'll have to head over to England and visit him. But about 14 songs I've written the words to, and I've sent him music on them. Sometimes he just switches them around and makes them his own, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the words are mine, so we have 2 CDs that we put out on Spotify with words written by me and then his arrangements, his guitar and voice. So just really honored to be.
And you have a couple other CDs, other collections on Spotify?
Yeah, just for fun. I mean, I did a Christmas CD with about 7 Christmas songs, and one of them I wrote on my own. And then recently I had a CD called 63, which is songs I wrote while I was 63 years old, and that was during the time when Stefan was in the hospital. And some of the surprising thing is, and I've told you this before, Tom, that the muse, in the most depressing and challenging times, the muse comes out stronger. So I had a most productive songwriting time was the year 2023. And so I called the CD 63, and that's available on Spotify, which has a couple songs about Stefan in there too.
Oh, excellent.
So, yeah.
And so you almost need to process that. I was kind of relating that to the need for it. And then your first book, My Heart at Ease, that actually came about through your challenge. And that sparked your creativity. Just tell the people about the challenge you gave yourself.
Yeah, I just was having coffee on a January morning in 2021, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm kind of bored. I need to, and this is sort of had a weight loss plan in mind too, so I was going to be the New Year's resolution guy. And I was thinking, well, why not try to write 100 poems in 1 year? And so I did that, and I challenged my writers group to do similar things, and ended up finishing it. And we had a walking club at work where I work in customer service, and we kind of called ourselves the Walking Poetry Club because these two other folks were poets as well. And so we'd motivate each other, and they started writing more poetry because of my 100 challenge. And so I think I had a positive influence at work and in my Wordsmiths Writers Club too. But ended up doing it, and it was amazing. And I think what it helped me with was developing a discipline for writing, just sitting myself down every day or every other day saying, let's do this. With my subsequent poems, I didn't keep doing that every year, but it was a good, I think, exercise in discipline in writing.
Excellent. I think you do that, and you do a good job of developing the community, right? Can you talk a little bit about your role as the Poet Laureate of North Fond du Lac?
Well, that involves you a little bit, Tom, because you when I found
I was trying to get to.
I found out that you had become the Poet Laureate in Oshkosh, so I was just fascinated with that. And I contacted the mayor, who was at that time, and she was very gung-ho on this idea. And so I didn't do any, like a podcast interview, but I did kind of interviewed her and asked her about it. And I shared that interview with the library board, which I'm a part of. And I said, well, maybe this would be kind of cool if we could do this. So the library board was very excited about the idea, and we had a few people apply, and turned out that that I was probably the more qualified. So I decided to just take the reins and do the first Poet Laureate. So I'm still enjoying it, and I feel like I'm through my podcast and through. We've got an open mic coming up on March 20th, which I'm excited about, and so a lot of ways to motivate the community for writing, and again, getting back to what I was saying earlier about connection.
Yes.
Connecting with people. If you can connect with one person and make their life better, then I think maybe that's a good thing.
Yes. I remember a couple of years ago you had a get-together of poets, Pi Day.
Oh, that was so fun.
Very memorable. People will remember that.
Yep.
Yes, and that's really what I wanted to bring up was, I wanted to get some acclaim for Poet Laureate.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
No, yeah.
And then to complain that I have an open mic the first Tuesday every month, and your community, but I'm letting you off the hook. It's a ways to try up. You're busy.
Okay.
And you work.
I will be at NAMI very soon. I promise.
Really, I just wanted to say, I used to hold them, and you'd come there.
Yes. And
read your poems. It's special. Things like that are very special.
Yeah, they are. And and I'm sure you've had this echoed by many of your guests here on Author Showcase, that there's a different kind of flavor when you present your poetry, when you write a poem and you read it to yourself, and you rewrite it, and you might edit it, but reading it in front of an audience, there's a totally new dimension. And of course you have the James Hamiltons and the D.G. Clearings who take that to another level. I would love to be on James Hamilton's show sometime too. That would be fun.
Yes. And the name of that show
What is it called?
Versed.
Okay, Versed.
Versed.
Yeah.
It's on WBOM radio, and it's on James Hamilton's YouTube channel. There's little pockets of poetry on YouTube to find. And that's an interesting mixture. He brings two different types of poets, brings them together, and they talk about poetry and how it came to be in their lives and the importance of it. And it's just, we need more avenues for poetry, and it goes pretty slow, but like the Poet Laureate programs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slow process, but it's all in the way of developing community and getting art out there, the
Mm-hmm.
written word, because it is so powerful.
And getting art integrated into the community. I think I heard you on a recent, was it TikTok maybe I saw you on, as I was in the parking lot here before the show, and you were talking about, wouldn't it be great if we integrated poetry into society, where you had signs at campgrounds with poetry,
Yes.
and I think that's what you mentioned, something like
Yeah.
that. And
I think
and
hiking
got me
and
thinking
like
about
hiking trails, I think in the hiking trails just around the city, we want, here in Oshkosh, we want to do just a poetry walk. We did a couple many years ago about downtown having poetry up. Appleton's doing a poetry walk where the poetry is actually stamped into the sidewalk throughout the city of Oshkosh.
Yep.
Yes, and one of your guests on your show, Tim McMahon,
Yeah.
he's in the finalist for having that, getting his own poem stamped right in there.
Yeah, Tim is a marvelous individual, and he's been a part of our Wordsmiths Writers Club, which is in North Fond du Lac. And if anybody's interested, our Wordsmiths, we do meet every month at the North Fond du Lac Public Library. It's the second Thursday of the month. So if you're interested in another outlet for your writing or poetry, or could be memoirs. I mean, it could be anything that you want to learn to write, or maybe just to listen. And,
I've been there a few times,
Yes.
and those people are wonderful, very interesting.
Very warm group, yeah.
Is G. Anthony part of that?
Yes,
Yes,
and
he
G's
is.
been a member of our group for, I think, over a year now. So we've got some big hitters in the group, McMahon and G, and a lot of, most of our people, and we do readings every meeting, and I'm just blown away by what I hear. I'm very humbled. It's like I'm certainly not the best writer in the club, but I have a great sense of pride that this group was started in 2014 and it's still going very strong.
So valuable community,
yeah.
because writing can be such a lone time.
Yes.
You're just there with your thoughts and your writing utensils.
Right. Exactly.
And there's something else that I wanted to comment on, and now I can't think of what it is.
So many ideas.
Yes,
Yeah.
percolating, and it had to do, I think, with the wordsmiths. We'll come back to that.
Sure.
I wanted to, before we go, we got a couple things more to do. I want you to talk a little bit about what you're working on. What's your next project?
So that's always an exciting project, or as my wife calls them, obsessions. But I love that, and my wife is a great support. By the way, I don't mean to diss her at all. I mean, she comes to the open mics, and you've seen her out in public a lot, and she's the greatest supporter. And but yeah, my future projects, I'm really interested in a project that would involve key concepts like courage and longing and solitude, the concept of vulnerability, honesty, resilience. And I want to do perhaps up to 200 pages. I hate to put a number on it.
No. Yeah.
But I want to really do a comprehensive type of thing where I do, maybe I can head them with like nature or purpose or relationships and connection, and organize it in that fashion, and then have a free verse poem and then sort of an essay on what the poem means to me on the other side of the page. So I've got one side of the page with this, the other side of the page with that. That's just, and I'm thinking about maybe calling that Tapestry of Verse, but that's just a working title.
And you're collaborating with somebody on that?
That's just all me right now. But hey, if there's anybody out there that wants to collaborate with me, that's fine too.
Okay, all right.
And then there is a collaborator though with the other project.
Okay,
that's the one you were thinking about.
Yes, right, exactly.
My good friend Bruce Fernandez, who is a genius in the audio studio, much like yourself, and so I'm going to read 20 poems out of my first and second collection. And he's already at this moment, he just started this, but at this moment he's putting background music behind those poems, and then I want to put those on a special audio, sort of like a mini audio presentation for Spotify.
Okay.
And so that's my second project, and that's very exciting too, because you read a poem, you've heard, people like Hamilton and D.G. Clearing using background music to their poetry. That seems to add another dimension. So I want to sort of climb into that dimension too. So it's exciting. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to future projects. And at my age, in my mid-60s now, it's great that I can have these dreams,
Absolutely. Yes.
And life goes on.
Yes. And so if they wanted to find you on Spotify, they would just search your name?
Oh, just search my name on Spotify, Jeffrey McAndrew. There you go. And there's my first book up there and my second book on the left. And then that picture that you see up there, that's me performing a song that I wrote for my son's wedding a few years back. So that was a very special time too.
And there's more books than that. We're just...
Oh, there is.
So why don't you share another poem, if you would, for us?
Can I will take one right out of out of my book here. How does that sound? And this is actually a poem that turned into a song from Frank. Okay, I sent him the poem, and he generated the music for this. And this is called Grandpa Jack. This is about my grandpa, and I had a dream about my father's father, Grandpa Jack, they called him. His real name was Carl, but it's Grandpa Jack. So here's my poem called Grandpa Jack. Grandpa Jack appeared in my dream. Gracefully he put my mind at ease. Gentle talk with love in his heart, he told me it's not where you start, but how you play the game that matters. He was a quiet and gentle soul. His transparency was his flow. The gentle words there to inspire, quiet encouragement, not brimstone and fire. A mailman by trade, what a soul God had made. Honest and caring and always a friend, my love of Grandpa Jack will never end. And Frank turned that into an amazing song too.
I'll have to check that out.
So check out Frank Watkinson's Grandpa Jack, and I think there's over 10,000 people have listened to it, so that's pretty cool stuff.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Is there anything that I haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I think we've talked about absolutely everything,
I think
Tom.
we have.
Yeah. Thank you for I'm very honored. This is a great show you have here, and keep up the great work. I watch almost every one of them that you have.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
And
thanks for coming today.
You're welcome. Yes, my pleasure.
Thanks for people tuning in. Thank you to Dixie for running the board, and thank you for Scott and everybody at Oshkosh Media for helping us out and letting us do this labor of love. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Author Showcase of Oshkosh with your hosts, Dixie Joe Jarko, Bill Gillard, and Thomas Cannon. We'd love to hear from you, whether you're interested in being a guest on the show, have a question, or want to share your thoughts. Please reach out to us on social media or via email at oshkoshauthorshowcase@gmail.com.